Level 1. Clone Cadet. Your activation date begins. You're not a person yet, you're just a serial number on a data pad in a facility surrounded by an ocean that's never seen the sun. This is Kamino. It's depressing, it's cold, and the rain is the only soundtrack to your life. You were grown in a tube, aged at double the speed of a normal human. By the time you're 10 years old in actual years, you'd be looking like a 20-year-old. Your childhood, if you can even call it that, is not spent playing or exploring like most 10-year-olds. It's spent inside the Tibuca City Military Complex, a massive facility with domes on top of platforms reaching out of the sea designed for one purpose only: to turn you into a living weapon. Every day on this planet follows a specific routine. You run drills on platforms suspended hundreds of feet above the ocean. The wind hits so hard it can make you fall into the ocean. You learn to strip a DC-15 blaster rifle, a weapon that can punch through a battle droid's chest plate 200 meters away. You memorize droid movement patterns, battle formations, emergency protocols. You sit in classroom sessions studying galactic geography, alien species, weapon systems. None of it feels like school. All of it feels like preparation. 3 different groups watch over you. The Kaminoans move through the facility with clipboards and data pads, inspecting your growth metrics, your physical development, your behavioral compliance. To them, you are not a person, you are a product. When a cadet shows signs of physical or psychological defects, the Kaminoans call it reconditioning. Nobody tells you exactly what that means. However, some of the clones you laughed with a week ago you never see again. Then there are the mercenaries, a group of 100 Mandalorian trainers called the Koival Dar the Kaminoans hired. These were bounty hunters and soldiers who vanished from the galaxy to come train you. They are the very best of the best, and their methods are not gentle. They push you past the point of exhaustion. They pit squads against each other. They use psychological pressure the way a weapon instructor uses a firing range, deliberately, repeatedly, until the response becomes automatic. And then there's Shock T, a Jedi Master assigned by the Jedi High Council to oversee the entire training program. She is the reason some of you survive this brutal process, because where the Kaminoans see defective units, she sees clones worth saving, and where the mercenaries want to cut struggling squads, she gives them another chance. You are divided into squads of 5, and this is where something unintended happens. You were designed to be identical, but you're not really. The clone next to you is quieter than you. The one across the barracks makes everyone laugh during meals, and another one follows every rule like his life depends on it, because he genuinely believes it does. You start giving each other names, not numbers, names, based on habits, on personality, on a moment that stuck. That name is the first thing in your life that actually belongs to you. The Kaminoans didn't give it to you, the Republic didn't assign it, your brothers did, and that means something to you. The final test before you graduate is called the Citadel Challenge, a full-scale combat simulation inside a training room that can reconfigure itself. The floor raising and dropping, droids deployed at full aggression with weapons set to stun rather than kill. The shots still leave bruises the size of your fist. The objective is simple in theory. Your squad has to navigate the course, take out the defensive emplacements, and to capture a beacon at the top of a fortified structure while training droids try to stop you. Sounds simple, but extremely hard. By this time, the Kaminoans and the mercenaries already know you can fight. The test is about whether you can function as a unit under pressure, whether you leave a brother behind, whether you fall apart when the plan breaks down. Squads that fail don't get to try again automatically. They get reassigned with either maintenance duty, support roles, the war without the war. And that thought, that you could come this far and still end up mopping floors, is what drives you when your legs are failing and your squad is a breath away from breaking apart. You finally make it. A transport number is then assigned to your unit. You line up with your brothers, and for the first time, you board a ship that isn't going to take you back to a barracks on Kamino. Through the window, that planet with the endless rain gets smaller and smaller. Then it disappears entirely. But you don't feel sad. You feel ready. You are built for what comes next. Level 2. Clone Trooper. Your boots hit real ground for the first time, and that ground is red. Geonosis. The sky is full of laser fire, and the air smells like burning metal and something else, something you can't identify. Yet, it itches the back of your throat. Later, after enough battles, you'll stop noticing it's even there. But right now, it's overwhelming. Later, you'll learn that smell is what a battlefield actually smells like, and it never leaves you. You are a standard clone trooper. Private rank, the most common thing in the Grand Army of the Republic. There are millions of you, and right now, standing at the bottom of a ramp looking out at your first real battle, that number means nothing. What matters is that you are here. You have a DC-15 blaster rifle in your hands, and your sergeant is already moving the front lines. Your armor is Phase 1. 20 plastoid alloy plates molded to fit your body, attached over a black body glove. It's heavier than the training gear. The helmet seals completely, an internal life support system that can keep you breathing in a vacuum for a limited time. The visor gives you a heads-up display that tracks targets, marks allies, feeds you navigation data. You carry thermal detonators on your belt, EMP grenades, the ones the veterans call droid poppers. You are a walking arsenal, but also another cog in the machine, and you're completely terrified. Then the battle droids come in waves. You fire until your blaster overheats. Swap the power cell with shaking hands. Fire again. The clone next to you takes a bolt to the chest plate. Same face as yours under that helmet. Same voice. He drops you and you keep moving because the sergeant is still moving and the only direction that exists right now is forward. However, a Jedi General leads the charge somewhere ahead of you. You see the lightsaber cutting through the smoke, a blade of light deflecting bolts, moving faster than your eyes can follow. It's the most extraordinary thing you've ever seen. And of course, the Jedi doesn't know your name. Out here, you are a white helmet in a sea of white helmets, a blue dot on a tactical display. One of millions. You survived your first battle, but you can't say the same for your comrades. On the gunship ride back to the cruiser, you stare at the empty handles. 6 brothers went down in the red sand. Their armor is still out there somewhere, and nobody trained you for this part. Nobody ran a simulation for what it feels like when the shooting stops and a moment of silence emerges. But nobody outside the army understands this about clone troopers. The grief doesn't disappear. It never disappears. It gets compressed, pushed down into a part of you that you don't visit during daylight hours, because if you visit it during a battle, you die. You learn to save the grief for later, for the quiet moments in the barracks or in the mess hall when someone takes their helmet off and you see a face that looks exactly like the face of someone who isn't coming back. You develop a fighting, now grieving later mentality that keeps you functional for the Republic. This doesn't make you a machine though, it makes you a soldier. Life between battles is not what you couldn't have imagined. You live on Venator-class star destroyers, long, wedge-shaped warships that carry thousands of you between campaigns. Your barracks are stacked bunks, crammed into spaces designed for efficiency, not comfort. You eat synthetic rations in communal mess halls. You spend hours cleaning your weapon, running drills in the ship's lower decks, running flash training sessions on holographic projectors that update your tactical knowledge. You paint your armor, not because regulations require it, but because it's yours. The armor is the only physical thing you own in the entire galaxy, and personalizing it is the only creative act available to you. Some clones paint their unit's colors, some add symbols, markings, patterns that mean something specific to them. Some get tattoos on their face, on their arms, because they need to know there's something underneath the armor that belongs only to them. Then something changes. 7 campaigns in, a scar across your face from debris. 3 campaigns after that, you start making calls your sergeant trusts without questioning. You take the left flank without being told. You cover the exit before anyone asks. One morning the sergeant looks at you and says something nobody has said to you before in a military context. He says your name. Not your number, your name. And then he tells you you're a corporal now. It's not an official rank with ceremony. Corporal is the first informal rank above trooper, recognized within the squad, not formally marked in the early days of the war. No distinct armor stripe in the beginning, you just have a responsibility. A fire team of 4 men who now look at you before they look at anyone else when a decision needs to be made. That changes everything, because before this you just followed orders, but now you have to give them. And the weight of that, the weight of 4 lives that go where you point them to, sits on your chest and stays there. It never gets lighter. You just learn to carry it. Level 3. Clone Sergeant. You're standing in front of 9 men with clean armor and wide eyes, and you are saying things your Mandalorian trainers taught you on Kamino, plus everything the battlefield taught you that Kamino never could. How to hear the hum of a droid unit before it comes around a corner, how B-1 battle droids march in predictable lines but tactical droids don't, how to read a kill zone before you walk into one. You are now a sergeant, and a sergeant runs the squad. Promotion came through your battlefield performance. The Republic didn't have the luxury of waiting. The casualty rate among officers in the early campaigns was brutal, and when a corporal survived long enough and proved they could make calls under pressure, the army promoted them. Sometimes it happens on the battlefield. A lieutenant goes down in the middle of a firefight, the most experienced trooper steps up, and by the time the shooting stops, they're already wearing the responsibility. Eventually the markings come too, green on the Phase 1 armor, the color that says, "This man leads a squad." You get 9 men. That's your world now. Officers plan the war, but sergeants fight it. The lieutenant above you draws lines on a holographic map and tells you which objective your squad is taking. You take your 9 men and you figure out how. Every tactical decision within that mission is yours. Which direction you approach from, which cover you use, which man takes point. You can prioritize targets, shift your squad's movement, adapt the plan in real time when reality doesn't match the briefing. Spoiler, it almost never does. At night, in the barracks, you know every man in your squad by name. Not just by name, even by their personalities, by the sound of their breathing when they sleep. Which one talks too much before a drop and which one goes completely silent. You even know which ones will make it and which ones probably won't, although you keep that last part to yourself. As you're a sergeant, you start noticing something that nobody in the command is talking about. The Republic doesn't have a plan for you after the war, but you don't say that out loud. There's another battle tomorrow. Level 4, Clone Lieutenant. Blue markings on your armor now. You're standing in a briefing room for the first time, not as the soldier receiving the briefing, but as one of the people giving it. There's a holographic map rotating in the center of the table. You're pointing at it. A Jedi commander is beside you, and somewhere in the middle of going over the eastern approach and the droid fortification at grid 7, the Jedi stops and turns to you. What do you think, Lieutenant? It catches you off guard. Usually you are designed to execute orders, not have opinions, but you've spent years on battlefields that Jedi generals only see from a strategic distance. You've lost men to plans that looked clean on a map and fell apart on the ground. So when the Jedi asks what you think, you actually tell them, and your suggestions start saving lives. You command a platoon now, 36 men across 4 squads, a major. The rank between lieutenant and captain commands the battalion above you, roughly 576 troopers across 4 companies. You'll hear the major's name on the comm channel during coordinated pushes. They're the ones translating the captain's orders down to your level, ensuring the operational pieces fit together. For now, your world is your platoon. The gap between sergeant and lieutenant isn't just more men, it's a different relationship with the war itself. As a sergeant, you are in the middle of every firefight, rifle in hand. As a lieutenant, you're still in the field. You lead from the front because that's what clone officers do, but now part of your mind is always on the bigger picture. The platoon's flanking route, the air support window, the extraction point if everything goes wrong. And things go wrong. You lose an entire platoon on Felucia from bad intelligence. The Separatists had 3 times the force the briefing estimated. You walked your men into a fortified position that wasn't supposed to exist. You called for extraction. It came 20 minutes too late. 36 brothers gone in a single afternoon. The Jedi General tells you it wasn't your fault, that the Force works in mysterious ways, so you nod. You say yes, General, but inside you know that's BS, because the Force didn't stop a single bolt. The Force didn't bring back a single brother, and you just watched a Jedi Knight order a charge across an open field because he felt guided by something invisible. 16 men crossed that field, and none of them made it back to the other side. You can't say that out loud, so you learn to read Jedi instead. Which ones listen to you and treat you like an equal in the briefing room, and which ones treat you like a sophisticated piece of military equipment they've been assigned to operate. You keep your men as far from the second one as you can. Level 5, Clone Captain. They give you a company, 144 men, and the armor that carries you into battle with them tells your whole story now. Scarred, cracked, repainted with your company's colors over the original white. Every clone in your unit knows you by sight. You lead from the front because you will not ask a brother to go somewhere you wouldn't go yourself. Red markings would be your distinct color. However, what defines this rank isn't really the color or the number of men under you, it's who's standing next to you. You work directly alongside a Jedi General, and unlike the usual, this one is different. The General knows your name, and something about that, as small as it sounds, as simple as it is, matters so much to you. In a galaxy that has treated you as equipment since the day you were built from a growth pod, being called by your name by someone who holds real power is not a small thing. You learn from each other. You know when the General is reading the Force, and the General knows when you're calculating odds and coming up with a number that isn't good. You've saved each other's lives more times than either of you can count. This has moved past the chain of command. It's become something that they have no name for in the military, a real friendship. Late at night, between campaigns, you talk, not about the war, about what peace might look like, about what a clone might do if there was no war left to fight, and the General looks at you and says something that nobody in the entire history of your existence has ever said to you before. You deserve a life of your own. You don't know what to do with that, so you push it down. There's another battle tomorrow. You have fought on more worlds than you can easily count. You have defended Kamino, your birthplace, when Grievous sent his fleet to destroy the cloning facilities, and you stood beside cadets barely out of training to hold the line. You fought on Umbara under a Jedi General named Pong Krell, and that campaign broke something open in you, because Krell used your brothers like they were disposable, like the number of casualties was an acceptable variable in his calculations, and you watched men die for nothing. You pushed back, but not loudly. Not in a way that would get you court-martialed, but you did push back. You questioned the plan in the briefing. You slowed the advance to give your men cover. You made calls that cost you politically and saved your brothers physically. Because that is what a captain does. That is what the rank actually means. It was never the red markings. The Fork. Now, normally you weren't supposed to follow this path. But at this level of experience, with captain level performance, years of proven battlefield command, and the kind of instinct that can't be trained into someone who doesn't already have it, a small number of clones get selected but not promoted in the traditional sense. Chosen for something that sits outside the normal rank structure entirely. Advanced Recon Commando, or ARC Trooper. This selection doesn't come with an announcement. It comes with a reassignment order and a set of coordinates. You report to a training program run by a clone called Alpha 17, one of the original Alpha-class ARC Troopers personally trained by Jango Fett himself. Alpha 17 trained the first class of 100 ARC Troopers, and out of that first class came names you already know. Cody, Bly, Gree, Neo, Bakara, the commanders who shaped the entire officer culture of the Grand Army of the Republic. Alpha 17 didn't just train soldiers, he built leaders, and now he's looking at you. The training is unlike anything on Kamino. Kamino trains you to be a part of a unit. ARC training changes that and rebuilds you as something that can function completely alone. Independence, adaptability, tactical awareness so deep it becomes instinct. You learn to visualize an entire battlefield in your head before setting foot on it. To read an environment, calculate probabilities, make command decisions in real time without waiting for orders from above. Because ARC troopers go where orders can't follow. Your armor changes. The standard white plastoid is replaced with something heavier, reinforced chest plating, a kama that wraps around your waist and dissipates blaster heat, and pauldrons on both shoulders. A hybrid helmet that served as the field prototype for what would eventually become the standard Phase 2 design. Built-in load-bearing harness, survival pack for extended independent operations, dual holsters carrying twin DC-17 hand blasters, compact, rapid-fire, and devastatingly accurate in close quarters. Where a standard trooper carries a single rifle, you carry enough firepower to clear a room of B2 super battle droids alone, and sometimes you do exactly that. The missions you get sent on are not the missions the rest of the army handles. Infiltration behind separatist lines, hostage extractions from facilities that entire battalions couldn't breach, sabotage operations that turn the tide of campaigns that haven't even started yet. You work in small teams, sometimes pairs, sometimes alone. The margin for error is zero, and there is no extraction guarantee. That would be your life from then on. But if you weren't chosen for ARC training, you then reach a level that most clones would never get to reach. Level 7. Clone Commander or Marshal Commander. You now have your own custom armor, your own call sign, and a regiment of over 2,000 men who fight harder when they hear your voice on the comm channel. You received ARC training before reaching this rank. Like most commanders, Alpha 17's program ran the future commanders of the Grand Army through the same gauntlet as the ARC troopers, giving them the tactical independence and battlefield command instincts to lead at scale. The difference is what you do with those skills. An ARC trooper goes deep behind enemy lines to sabotage. A commander coordinates core-level operations across entire planetary campaigns while standing next to a Jedi general who trusts your judgment the way they trust their own instincts. You notice there are distinctions within this rank. A battalion commander handles roughly 500 men. A regimental commander takes several thousand. A marshal commander, the highest tier, leads an entire corps, over 36,000 soldiers across multiple simultaneous engagements. Commander Cody held that rank as the Marshal Commander of the 7th Sky Corps. He also led the 212th Attack Battalion under General Obi-Wan Kenobi. As your time as a commander, you experience something that has never happened to you before. You are standing on a ridge overlooking a valley. The campaign is almost over. The general is beside you, studying the terrain, and says quietly, "After this, I'm going to recommend you for an advisory position on Coruscant, somewhere you can actually rest from all of this." You don't know what to say. Then the transmission comes through, not from your general, not from the admiral, from the Supreme Chancellor himself, on a secure command channel that bypasses every layer of hierarchy you've ever operated within. You receive 3 words: Execute Order 66. Something clicks inside your head, but it's not a decision of yours. Like a switch being flicked on you didn't know existed inside your own mind. The inhibitor chip, buried in your brain since before you ever opened your eyes on Kamino, installed as an infant, listed in your medical file as an aggression management device, activates, and everything that you are, everything that you have built across 3 years of war, gets pushed behind a wall you cannot get past. The friendship, the trust, the late-night conversations about what peace might look like, the Jedi's voice that said you deserve a life of your own, all of it goes quiet. A cold, absolute focus replaces everything. You raise your weapon. The general turns around. There is confusion on his face, but then he understands. You report the mission is complete, but you don't feel anything. That is the worst part. Not the act, the silence afterward. Because somewhere beneath the programming, beneath the chip, beneath 3 years of conditioning and every order you were ever taught to follow, a part of you is screaming, and you cannot hear it.